Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about my Sig Sauer SPEAR LT MCX Rattler in 300 Blackout. Let's get started. Okay, so I thought that first thing I would do is do a little bit of a shooting test to see how it groups. I'm here at 50 yards, and due to the abundance of snow that is on top of my tarp here, I think this is probably the last time for the year I'm going to get to shoot with any amount of cover over my head, so I'll enjoy it while I can. Now, what I wanted to do is shoot a group with this and then compare it to a group with my honey badger as well. In fact, one of you guys down in the comments suggested I do this comparison, so if nothing else, this is proof that if you comment on the video, you know, right after you subscribe to the channel, I listen, and I will take your suggestions under advisement when I'm figuring out what to do. So, without more ado, let's go ahead and fire the first group with the Rattler. There's 10, and now I will grab the honey badger and do the same on another target. And that's my 10. Nice. I'm going to grab the camera, bring you down range, and see how the groups did. A little bit off to the side, and I wouldn't count that one that's low. That's probably thrown just from me. But generally, they both do pretty well at 50 yards. So let's dig into some of the other differences. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm back inside and I'm going to break down what I've got here on my Sig MCX Rattler. Now, this is the SPEAR LT version, which means it has that same lower with the ambi release and, well, all ambi that the SPEAR LT has, and actually the same upper except for two big differences. One, it does not have the forward assist here, though you could put one on because this piece is replaceable. And on the back side, there's a very cool little badge that says Rattler on it, which again, guys, looking cool, half the battle. Right up here at the front, I have the Sig SLH suppressor, which is a partial flow-through-y design. Works very well. A lot of flow-through suppressors don't work well on 300 Blackout. This works exceptionally well on this platform, so hooray to Sig. Their marketing statement that it continues to work even with 300 Blackout, it bears out. Now, this handguard here, it is the cane brake style. Now, that was the thing where Sig was selling like a fake can and then a short barrel so you could sink a can in for a while. This model doesn't come with that. I had to order this handguard separate to put it on here, meaning that the barrel only goes to about here. So, very, very similar to how the honey badger works there. Moving backwards, I have got a Holosun pressure pad, and up here, the Holosun Iris 4. Now, I'm going to do a video talking about this and some other infrared lasers very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. But this guy has infrared laser, visible laser, infrared illuminator, and now visible illuminator, also known as a flashlight. So, this guy does have white light on it, and it actually works fairly well. But I'll talk more about that in another video. Down here, I've got the Infitac thermal. It is a model that I can't remember. It's like XMP13, something like that. And that's interesting, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Behind that, QD point from Magpul, because for some reason this handguard does not have a QD sling slot on it. This guy is a Strike Industries AirTag holder. Why? Because this guy used to do quite a bit of traveling, and I liked the idea of having a tracker on it just in case somebody decided to do something stupid. Behind that, I have a GBRS group Hydra. I know everybody's got opinions about the Hydra on the internet. I like this one. As we'll discuss in a bit, heavy gun. This brings a lot of the weight back. And before I had this handguard, it allowed me to actually have all this stuff on here because I didn't have the space. Doesn't work for everybody, isn't the right thing for everybody, but for me, I like it. And I like it because I've gotten used to running a riser for most optics, and this gets a lot of stuff on here. Would I buy it again when things from Unity and other manufacturers now exist that kind of adopt this concept and I think sometimes do it better? Probably not, but I like it, so I'm not going to mess with it at this juncture. Behind that, I've got the extended charging handle from Sig because I like to be able to charge this easily. I shoot it a lot at night, and at night it gets cold. And sometimes I'm wearing gloves because of the cold, because I don't like the cold, guys. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to the cold. So if I'm wearing gloves, it's a little bit easier to actuate that when it's extended. Back here, just like on my Springfield Kuna, if you haven't seen that video, or the follow-up video, go check them out. I have the Haga Defense, I guess you would call it a brace platform, and then back here is the Gear Headworks Tailhook brace. This guy does fold, much like many other braces in stock for this platform, but this is a pistol, so it is a brace. Down here, I replaced the Sig grip because I think it's terrible with a Magpul. This is probably what, a K2 Plus. Yep. Rubberized, it's good. I don't like the Sig grips, but there are plenty of good AR grips out there, so you put it on there. I did replace the factory selector with a Radian because I like Radian. Down here, I've got a HRF Magwell, which, as you guys may have saw in my other night vision content, it's hard to do things when it's dark, so it's nice to have a little bit extra magwell to get that magazine in when you're trying to do things by feel. Down here I've got a Lancer mag. I have more or less adopted Lancer mags entirely across all of my 300 Blackouts. Very easy in the dark to sort of tactile feel that this is a 300 Blackout mag. There's really nothing like a Lancer mag, and that can be a pro or con. I know people have opinions, but the 300 Blackout specific ones I use have worked very well for me. And it makes it easy because you don't want to put 300 Blackout into a 5.56 gun. That's a recipe for disaster. Now, I said I was going to compare this to the Honey Badger. This guy comes in at just over 10 pounds of weight, which is kind of heavy. The Honey Badger comes in at just over 5 pounds of weight, which makes this half almost, or definitely a 5-pound delta between the two. This guy just has Trijicon SRO, and as we saw, maybe if the clip came through, they group about the same. They're about that fist size group at 50 yards. So in terms of capabilities, I'd say accuracy-wise, they're about the same. But that's where it starts to break down. This guy also has a handguard and sunk can, very cool, but because there's no space here, there's no space for air to get in, it heats up quite a bit. So it makes it rather unpleasant to use when you've gone through a few magazines. Back here, we've got a stock that looks very cool, but again, after a few magazines, you're gonna feel that in your cheekbone a little bit. This one is really kind of form over function. But is it not as good? Well, depends on what you want to do with it. This guy, being way heavier, does things differently. We have the suppressor here under the handguard, and because there's a gap, it doesn't really heat up very much. The air that gets through there is enough of a gap that I can shoot this quite a bit before I even feel it getting warm, let alone burning me. And that guy's got a red dot, but this has got a holographic with a dedicated night vision mode, so super cool. This guy can very easily be switched to night vision mode. I know I could turn that down for night vision, but in the moment, I'm not really sure I would do that unless I was trying to prove a point. So this guy, night vision. And then, of course, I now have infrared laser and visible laser and white light on this. So that's a great capability. And then we've got this guy, the Infitac thermal. Now, I hope some of my footage came through and you can kind of see how useful it is. I recently, a couple months back, went to a Airsoft Milsim event, and I was using a Holosun full-size thermal optic. And when you're doing things where the other side has a lot of night vision, just as you do, sort of changes the strategies a little bit, because you don't want to use things like infrared illuminators or infrared lasers kind of at all, because it gives away your position if the other side has night vision. But thermals don't put anything out there, and they're really hard to block. So I spent a lot of my time at that event just sort of searching with my thermals, see if I could pick up end signatures. And then from there, I would basically just relay that to my team, and then we would kind of transition to whatever we're going to do with that information. This guy here works okay for detection. Inside of that 2 to 250 yard mark, I would say you're pretty confidently going to be able to pick up a human-sized heat signature. But where this fails is, well, a couple places. Battery isn't fantastic, and one of the reports I saw on the internet, and something I can confirm, is that zeroing this and it keeping that zero isn't awesome. So I started thinking about it. I thought, okay, well, what if I run it on an offset? I could use this to search for heat signatures. Then when I find something, I could transition up to my main aiming source or my secondary aiming source, or just hit it with white light and see what's what. That seems to be very effective. Because I'm only really using it to search, I don't have to care about the zero being maintained. And because I'm using it as a search tool, if the battery were to die, well, that sucks, but at least my main optic has not gone down. So I've been liking this quite a bit. And because I don't care about the zero, I can actually just take this off the gun entirely and put it on another firearm. But that's the thing. This is a ton of capabilities, but adds a significant amount of weight. So really it comes down to what you think the use case for you is going to be. In a home defense or duty or personal protection environment, I would say absolutely this is a better tool. The piston system, while adding some weight, seems to have drastically increased reliability, at least in my experience, and SIG's marketing says that it is rather reliable as well. In fact, they've made claims of absurd numbers of rounds going through this. So I would test and trust this in a bad situation. The Honey Badger is more of a range toy. So if what you're looking for is something to shoot at range, something lightweight, that might be great. If you're looking for a real 300 Blackout to do real things with, well, you really can't beat the Rattler. I think in its current configuration, this is about as equipped with features and capabilities as you can possibly make it. So what do you guys think? Which one would you go with? Let me know down in the comments. In the meantime, I've been Andrew. This has been the Extra Ammo channel, and thank you for coming to my lead talk. All right, shooting in the snow now.